This is Julian from Real Social Dynamics here in Switzerland, and what I want to talk about is the power of habit. This is actually a book that Owen recommended that I check out, and that I highly recommend that you check out as well, which basically explains the origin of habits, like where habits come from, what exactly is a habit, and then of course how to ultimately change habits that have more of a negative outcome on your life to new habits that have more of a positive outcome on your life. The power of habits. The way that he explains it in the book is he basically breaks down habits into three separate parts. Okay, there's an initial cue, which is kind of like the trigger, what triggers the habit. Like say you're hungry, for example, like I'm a little bit hungry, like that's the cue. Then this is followed by the routine, which is the habit itself. So if you're a little bit hungry, you're probably going to eat. So that's the habit, like I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. And then this is followed by the reward, which is now you feel satisfied. And in this case, you're no longer hungry, okay? The cue, the routine, the reward. I'm hungry, I eat, I'm no longer hungry. This is what we call the habit loop. And this is pretty much the definition of autopilot patterns. The reason your brain creates these habits is because there's just too much around you to logically and consciously process at once. Okay, like really take a look around you, like all the little details, there's just too much. And for your brain to function properly, it has to create these autopilot patterns. A great example to illustrate this is think back to the first time you were learning how to drive. You're like driving, you're probably going to be focusing on all of the little details, like, okay, I'm moving my arm to the right a bit. Okay, I'm turning my head, I'm looking in the mirror. What about this car? Okay, how's my foot like on the brake right now? You're focusing on all these little things, but the more you do it and the more references you get, the more it becomes autopilot to the point where now it's just a habit. When you're driving, you're probably not even thinking about all that anymore. You're just thinking about maybe like, well, how's my day gonna be? How am I gonna plan my day? What happened yesterday? Oh, I'm thinking about this cool movie I saw. You're thinking of other things, and it's just autopilot. Now, the key is to get these habits that have more of a positive outcome on your life, and of course, eliminate the habits that have more of a negative outcome on your life. And if you think in terms of game, this is really all the game is. Okay, you're going out, you're getting all these different reference experiences, you're interacting with all these women, and all these different cues are thrown in your face, and then you're just tweaking the habits, okay? You're tweaking the way you respond to those cues in a way that just makes you more naturally attractive, and in a way that just enables you to handle the interactions in a proper way. What allows you to know exactly when to go in, when to go out, what she's thinking, what she's feeling, like what would make sense in the interaction. And the reason is you've gone through so many experiences, there's so many cues that have been thrown at you that you've just developed the right habits, and you know exactly how to respond in a very unconscious way. Like you're not consciously thinking about it, it just happens. Okay, it's just something that naturally happens. And on top of that as well, the more that you're able to gather habits interacting with women, the more that you're gonna be able to think about the next step. Okay, take opening, for example. Your very first open, you're going up, you're thinking about all the little details, like my right foot, my left foot, how's my voice sounding, how are my lips moving, how do I look, what is she like reacting to me, like what's happening. But the more you do it, the more references you get, the more you deal with the cues, the more it becomes a habit to the point where it just becomes unconscious. Like you just go up, opening's just opening, and then you can think about the next step, and then the next step, until you ultimately reach a point where you're just like massively naturally in the zone, and you can just logically think about the little details like logistics, and game just becomes a habit. Going up, being naturally attractive, picking up women just becomes an autopilot pattern, and it's just who you are, and it's just what you do.